Chapter 1. I'm Private Investigator Wendy Winkworth, the Dickless Dick. The evening of August 6, 1950, I was sitting in the Burton City, Iowa ballpark, watching a game between teams of the Star-Spangled Girls Baseball League. I had gone there hoping the contest would raise my spirits. They were low. Because in the 2 months since I'd received my PI license, no jobs had come my way. Betty Jane Wadlow, star pitcher for the Burton City Hornets, was doing her best to elevate my mood. The first 7 innings, she destroyed the Waterloo Flickers, uncorking wicked fastballs, mixing them with change-ups and curves. After each of her 15 strikeouts, she posed on the mound, tossing her spun gold hair, looking as confident as a model for Coca-Cola. How can you be that good-looking, and that good, too? But in the 8th, Betty Jane struggled with control. After walking the first 2 batters, she allowed a double, and those first mistakes scored, spoiling the shutout. Eventually, she got out of that inning, and entering the 9th, the game still seemed well in hand, with the Hornets ahead 8-2. The leadoff hitter for the Flickers grounded out, but then Betty Jane threw 3 straight balls to the next batter. Catcher Eddie McLean, trotted to the mound. Betty Jane turned away from her, seeming disdainful of what Eddie had to say. Battery mates not communicating? Very bad. A stoic Eddie strode back to the plate. She adjusted her mask while the batter took practice swings and the umpire picked at his teeth. The infielders started into their chatter. Suddenly, before anyone was ready, Betty Jane uncorked a fastball that sailed over Eddie's head and crashed against the backstop, violently shaking the screen. The ump bellowed, "Wild pitch!" as Betty Jane wheeled and stared into center field. The infielders shut up. In the bleachers, gasps hushed to murmurs. Manager Clint Appling burst from the dugout and headed toward the mound. Running for the clubhouse, Betty Jane banged his hand away. After an instant of astonishment, he motioned for center fielder Kay Brock, also a relief pitcher, to take over. The young southpaw raced in happily. The Kid, as she was known, was boundlessly eager to pitch. But ambition isn't everything. I'd found that out. And after Brock threw 4 straight fastballs, nowhere near the strike zone, Appling signaled for the more experienced Letta Lorimer to replace her. Drooping with failure, the Kid trotted to the dugout. Letta's speedy deliveries got the defense dancing on their toes, and she obtained the final 2 outs. On my way out of the park, if I'd looked to my left, I might have seen Betty Jane emerge from the clubhouse. Maybe I could have said something comforting to her, something so significant as to be life-saving. But I don't know what it would have been. I was running my PI office out of my home, a trailer on the outskirts of Iowa City, about 80 miles northwest of Burton City. Owen Ray Mandel, my mentor in the law enforcement program, had expected there'd be some small-time crime in a university town, enough to ease a 24-year-old into the business. So far, he'd been wrong. At 7 o'clock the next morning, I dragged myself out of bed and opened the trailer door to sultriness. I grabbed the Iowa City Press-Citizen off the stoop and scanned the front page for the latest about the Korean War. General MacArthur said to be kowtowing to President Truman. I shifted my gaze to the far right-hand column. It blared, "Picture Betty Jane Wadlow murdered in Burton City." I recoiled. Betty Jane was dead? The article said the body had been found on a bank of the Mississippi. She had been shot, the killer at large. As I reeled in disbelief, the thought snuck through, what an opportunity! If only the case came my way, well, fat chance. And shameful to think of my needs before I felt proper grief. I tossed the paper on the table and sank into my swiveler. Rotating the chair, I tried to put the tragedy on the back burner. There'd be time for mourning later. Right now, best get busy advertising my services by writing local businesses. While mailing those letters, I'd drop by the Iowa City Police Station to introduce myself. In fact, why not call the Burton City Police right now and proclaim expertise in all things homicidal? No, too early for big lies. Better wait until 9 o'clock, a decent hour for getting a story straight. Outside, I heard 2 doors slam in rapid succession. Glancing out the window, I saw Hornet's manager Clint Hapling and another middle-aged man emerge from opposite sides of a dusty Burton City squad car. They moved over patchy grass to my door. Perhaps my conclusion had been too hasty. It looked like the principals were coming to me.